Hello and welcome to the Infinity Saga and Beyond and podcast. My name is Jordan, and with me today, joining me is Ron. How are you today, Ron?
I'm doing good, dude. Had to give a little homage to our buddy Chris there to dance to the intro music. That I don't even know if I don't think people hear it when they listen to
No,
it.
they can't
They're
see
probably
that.
just
Yeah.
like, what is this guy doing? Uh, but yeah, dude, I'm stoked to be here with you. We've got a lot of stuff to break down today. It was,
Yeah.
originally just going to be sort of a Spider-Man show, but now we've got some other stuff Spider-Man related and well, technically kind of also Spider-Man related to get into here. So it should be a jam-packed show.
Yeah, I guess this is the first time you're on here.
Yeah,
You've been on
yeah.
Elseworlds, which is also on the same podcast feed as this. I put Elseworlds on both its own feed and this feed because it started off as an offshoot of this show. Uh,
I've completed the Holy Trinity now.
Yes, yeah, you've been on Pod Awakens, where we'll be tomorrow night on the 2nd. We're going to be going live on our YouTube and Facebook for a watch along of Phantom Menace. So we obviously can't share the screen of it, but we can put a timer up there. You'll know where we're at in the movie. But also, it's going to go up on the podcast feed too. So if you need it to, you can sync it with your own watch afterwards. It could be like a commentary track. That's how I'm going to kind of put that up there. So that's how that's going to go. But yeah, like you said, we're going to talk Spider-Man 2, the video. But before that, we're going to get to some of the news with the Variety article that came out today about the MCU. And then we'll let everyone know when we're about to dive into the game in case if you want to avoid any spoilers. But we're going to fully spoil the game. I've platinumed it, so nothing's really off the table when it comes to what we're going to be talking about. So, but before we do that, I just want to ask you a couple questions too. I should not have sprung this on you, but I just decided this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just like we kind of did for Star Wars. Your favorite, let's go favorite Marvel superhero, and then we'll go favorite MCU character and favorite Marvel or MCU film, whichever you choose there.
Okay. Favorite Marvel character is a little off the beaten path. It's Richard Rider, Nova. I've always been very big in terms of comics into the more cosmic side of things. So like I've loved the Guardians, I love Nova, all that stuff. But Nova's always kind of been my guy. Just that sort of snarky, kind of like Peter Parker of space kind of thing, always really resonated with me. So and I love Sam Alexander as well. But Richard Rider, Nova was like he's been my guy for a long time. So in terms of just overall Marvel, it's him. MCU characters, I would say Tom Holland. Like, will you give me Spider-Man Tom Holland, even though he's
Yeah,
technically, yeah,
he's in the MCU. He's been in
yeah,
the
yeah. So
saga.
it would be him. Well, I guess, man, there's so on any given day, if you ask me, it'll be either him, Tom Hiddleston, or Benedict Cumberbatch. Those are my three. I love them as it stands right now. I mean, obviously, I still love all the OGs and stuff, but yeah, those are my guys. Favorite Marvel / MCU movie. I'm like everybody, it's some amalgamation of like Infinity War or Endgame or No Way Home. So that there's no surprises there. I'm just trying to think if there's one like really spicy one that I enjoy a lot more than everybody else, or that I don't think is that good.
Yeah, are you like a Fan4Stick fan, or are we?
Like not quite so much. I did enjoy the Fox X-Men movies a lot more than most people, for whatever that's worth. Even at the end when they got a little crazy with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, big like Captain. I've always been a huge Captain Marvel MCU fan. Maybe that's like kind of the hot take I could throw out there. Just like even when the movie first came out and it got kind of like lukewarm reviews leading into Endgame, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I had a great time at the movies with it.
I love that movie, by the way. Anybody that like craps on Captain Marvel film, I'm kind of confused by, because I really enjoyed it a lot. Like,
yeah,
I don't know why I did, I guess, but
well, it was a lot of cool, like a lot of cool, like really prominent classic Marvel comic stuff that was like surprising to see. pushed up right against
The
Endgame like that
Skrulls?
with the
Like
scrolls, the Kree, and like that in itself could have its own phase. So like to see that kind of start to get dropped in there right before Endgame was like, oh, that's really cool. And obviously Jude Law and her both I thought did really well.
Yeah.
It introduced Maria and Monica. Like, yeah, that movie was awesome, dude.
Yeah, and the twist of the Skrulls, you know, I
Yeah.
love that they kind of did a twist where they're not all evil the way they kind of are in the comics. It's just, yeah, I don't know. So I'm glad to hear that because I think that movie is underappreciated, really. And I'm
Yep.
looking forward to the Marvels. I am. So
I tweeted today because we know that the budget was 250. It's tracking to make roughly 70 to 80 in the opening weekend. It was the last MCU project that was developed fully from start to finish during what I call the Marvel Hell era. Basically, it started right when COVID hit, when they had all these projects that they had to. Well, probably right when COVID hit. Because I was going to say they threw a lot of announcements out there in 2019 that obviously all kind of got pushed around and all that stuff. But yeah, the stuff that really started with COVID. From that era up through Bob Chapek, through Chadwick Boseman passing away, through the stuff going on now with Majors, through the strikes, it's just been one thing after another that has like put project after project into these weird in between sort of sometimes feeling unfinished projects where the VFX staff are getting overworked. They don't know where they're going with the story exactly yet, so they can't commit to anything in terms of the larger overall world. So it's felt like we've kind of been in that for upwards of the last 3 years. And it's not to say that every project has been bad since then, but you just kind of got to understand that every project that was made during that such a crazy, unpredictable time, it's not going to be perfect. So I'm going into it. I just want to have fun. I want to have a good time at the movies. It's the first time we've been there since what, May? Guardians was the last Marvel. Yeah. So like, I just want to go there after not seeing a Marvel movie in theaters for months. And I just want to have a good ass time. As long as that gets accomplished, I'm not going to sit here and nitpick and be like, well, the CGI in that scene isn't quite so ideal. And why did Monica do this? Like, it's just, as long as it's fun and like doesn't insult my intelligence, and maybe in a post-credit scene gives us a little something, which, I mean, the buzz going all around Scooper Twitter, which I swore I was going to get off, but I have not because I am an asshole, is that, you know, there's going to be a pretty epic, without giving any spoilers, like a pretty connective, tissue-y, epic kind of.
epic but confusing.
Very much so. Very much.
How I describe that.
Yeah.
But no, I am excited for it. And look, if it sucks, it's an hour and a half, right? Like, this is supposedly the shortest one. So whatever.
Yeah. Go have a popcorn, get an icy, and just like turn your brain off and don't just be like analytical, like Mr. Marvel, like internet guy. You know what I mean? Or girl, whoever's out there, or they, whoever's out there. Like, just go have a good time, man. Like, that's why and I can't sit here. I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm hopping up on a high horse, because up until recently, I was very jaded with Marvel for a lot of the genuine reasons that people talk about. But recently, I'm just like kind of realizing, like, all this stuff, it's supposed to be fun. Like, if it's not as great as the last one or the one before it, who freaking cares, dude? It's a place to go, to enjoy, to have fun, to be nerds, to have camaraderie, and just have a good time. So that's kind of my take going into the Marvels.
And that's a perfect way to segue us to this Variety article, I think, because so in September, the Marvel created annual retreat that they do. And they said in this Friday article, it says most years the vibe would have been confident, even cocky. But this occasion was angst-ridden. Everyone at Marvel was reeling from a series of disappointments on screen. And then, like, the legal issue with Jonathan Majors, they mention the questions about viability of the studio's ambitious strategy to extend into streaming. But we get to the Jonathan Majors thing here, and apparently they've discussed a few plans. One of them is recasting. Another one is pivoting to another comic book adversary like Doctor Doom. And another one was when it comes to Kang, I think that was really it. Like recasting, kind of dropping him for another villain. That was kind of like their big
the other one,
options.
The other one that I saw, and I don't think it was in that article, but I believe it was Alex from Cosmic Circus, Cosmic Cervix. That's a whole different kind of thing. Cosmic Circus mentioned like just kind of going away from the multiverse stuff, like for a while. I don't know if that means years or whatever, and like focusing more on the stuff they already have established, like starting the Young Avengers stuff, doing the like the Midnight Suns kind of stuff, and then circling back to the multiverse. That is the only one that I'm opposed to, because if we go out of sight, out of mind with the multiverse, and it's like, okay, it's done, Kang's, whatever, and then like 2 years from now, it's like, hey, guess what? It's back. We're all just gonna be like, really? Like, especially if everything, like from this point on until then is really good, and it like doesn't need the multiverse. If we have to circle back to it just because we have to tie up the plot threads, it's like,
And for me, I'm like, I don't want them to just drop it because I'm actually enjoying multiverse stuff. We actually haven't got that much of it. I think that's been overstated too. When everybody is talking about all superhero movies, so they're like, everything is multiverse now. And I'm like, maybe, I mean, I don't know. I think with this, we've had Multiverse of Madness, Loki. And if you don't count Spider-Verse, you have No Way Home.
You have to, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, No Way Home.
We've had like 3 projects.
Wanda hasn't done anything in there yet. So, yeah, it's really been, I think it's more fatigue with just, I mean, everything's been the multiverse saga. Mm-hmm. It's not so much that we've seen so much of it on screen. At least for me, the fatigue comes in of, or the fatigue that came in was like, we're hearing so much about it, and it's like all these prospects of all these great things happening, and it was like nothing was happening. And and it's like things were happening, don't get me wrong, but like it felt kind of like we had Loki that was off in its own little pocket, like universe thing. And besides that, we had No Way Home and Doctor Strange in kind of a tight little, like, what, 5-month window.
Yeah.
And then since then, it's just been, not really much of anything. So I think for me personally, where the multiverse issue came in was that it felt, and it hasn't just felt, it's been like this. I feel like they've been a little afraid to commit or show us anything like too groundbreaking / mind-blowing, because they don't want to lock themselves into any plot point, because things were just so volatile for a decent little stretch there. So I don't know. I go back and forth on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I just want to see good product. Like, if you are Marvel and you just feel like this multiverse thing is getting too confusing and too kind of up its own rear end, and you don't want to set up all these plot threads that you feel like you got to pay off, and you just kind of want to go back to basics, I do understand.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to keeping the multiverse stuff going as long as it's going to commit to going somewhere, besides from just, we know Secret Wars is coming and Kang Dynasty is coming 4 years from now. Like, on screen, things that commit and things that are entertaining. As long as that's the case, I don't care.
You mentioned something interesting there, Kang Dynasty. Oh, maybe 4 years from now, right? Originally, this thing was supposed to come out in 2 years. We were supposed to get Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty in a 6-month span. That got pushed.
In the same year. Like, how ridiculous does that sound now?
It sounded epic at the time, and I think I would still dig that. But look, if you need to readjust. And I think at some point we're still kind of, while I don't want them to deviate from their plan if they have a solid plan. Like, if they say, Kang Dynasty, we're doing this, Secret Wars, we're doing this. We're getting Toby. We're getting, all these people back. Fine, right? Because when's the last time we're going to be able to get those together? I don't want to. Look, I am a Star Wars sequel fan, but I don't want the case to come where we get to a point where we're losing these people, right? And we just saw that with Matthew Perry randomly pass away at 50-something years old. If we're going to do it, let's do it.
Chadwick Boseman, man.
Let's get it done. Chadwick Boseman, like you said, yeah. So if we're going to do it, let's do it and then move on from there. But I'm also of the mindset of we don't have to lock ourselves in here. If you don't know what Jonathan Majors is going on here, maybe Kang Dynasty gets called something else, and it is a different film, or you recast. Right, or you recast, right? I mean, you can do that. I've seen. I don't know why they're so set on him being the only one that does it when we have Sylvie, who is a female Loki. So we can have Loki that looks like Richard E. Grant. We can have Loki that looks like an alligator, but we can't have a different.
We have 3 different Spider-Men.
Right.
Yeah.
So just recast him if that's what you're going to go with. You've recast it Rhodey in the normal timeline, and people love Cheadle.
Yeah.
We recast it. Sadly because of his passing, but we've had to recast Thunderbolt Ross to Harrison Ford, and that's the main timeline. So just go ahead and recast. It's not that big of a deal.
It's really not, especially with like let me think of how to word this to not sound like, if there is one comic character, like one villain that it would be easier than any other to go and just recast, Kang's the one, because there's so GD many of them. You know what I mean? Like, it would be a little different, even though still possible with somebody like a Thanos or like Galactus, or I guess not Galactus, because he's more just a big, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there are so many iterations of Kang, and I guess, we've unfortunately reached the point where we've seen a good amount of them, or at least what we presume will be the main variants in the post-credits of Quantumania. So maybe you're boxed in a little bit, but I still think there's plenty of room to wiggle there.
Can't we just George Lucas it? I don't understand why that's so hard too. Like, do a special edition where you replace that end credit scene on streaming services and stuff with the new actor. Like, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, George did it. Let's do it.
If George can, actually, no, I can't say if George can do it, anyone can, because that was,
no.
That's the opposite of what I'm thinking. Forgive me, Lord Lucas. I did not mean to besmirch your name. So yeah, there's that, and there's also, and I'm sure you probably have the other bit up there about the Variety article when they talk about rebooting and the original Avengers. So I don't know if you want to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're a little confused here. I do. I don't know who they're speaking to, but I think they're a little confused. From what we understand, they were always going to try to bring back Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson at some point for Secret Wars, most likely, right? They've always been teased. Evans is still asked about coming back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he's always like, I don't know.
There were reports in like early 2022 that Chris Evans re-signed a new deal with them to come back on to do some kind of like Hydra Cap thing, wasn't it?
Right.
Again,
that was the rumor. Yeah, I don't know how true it ended up being, or what killed it if it was true, but it's like, I hope that's what they mean is Secret Wars. I don't want them to any sort of like, to sort of like rewrite Endgame somehow by, like, I know people say, Jordan, it's the comics, they come back all the time. Like, that's what they said in the article, is like, comics have done this all the time. I'm like, no, that's what made this different. What made this different is that we saw Iron Man's journey throughout his whole time. We saw Cap's journey. They had good endings, and I wanted them to leave them untouched. But you always see people clamoring for this online of bring them back. And I'm like, no, you're going to hate it. You're going to hate it when they bring them back if it's not an alt universe, because you're going to be like, oh, they cheapen the death. Like, that's what we always hear about comics. So for me, I think they might have got this one messed up. Unless if they do mean they plan on somehow bringing them back after Secret Wars, which is dumb because, look, Robert Downey Jr. is not getting any younger, right? So he wouldn't even be able to play it for that long. And at this point, with how long it takes for us to get some of these movies because of the however many characters they're including now. We still haven't seen
He'd be like
Shang-Chi.
Michael Keaton.
It's
Like,
been
but
2 years and we haven't seen Shang-Chi still. What the hell? It's frustrating because I'm
yeah,
like, I love that movie and it was a great character introducing. You're like, if this was phase 1, you get that movie in 3 years. It's been
yep,
2 years and we don't even know if Shang-Chi 2 is happening before Secret Wars. And that is what's
yep.
frustrating. And that's where I think most of the frustration comes from, and why people say they're not digging the characters are because we're not seeing, like, we had Tony and Steve interact 6 years straight pretty much from
hmm
2012 to 2018.
Yep.
And that is what sold the relationship. We have not seen Shang-Chi interact with anybody other than the post-credit scene. And that needs to change. That's why I feel like we should have an Avengers film before Kang Dynasty that actually sets up the interactions between all these people. Then you see rumors from My Time to Shine Hello saying, oh, Toby and Hugh Jackman are the leads of Secret Wars. I don't think she actually
Ain't
knows
nobody
that.
going to be the lead of Secret Wars. The Secret Wars
Right.
is going to be the most jam-packed superhero movie ever created. It's going to be like Infinity War on steroids. There is not going to be a lead. If what they meant was that they are going to be like the figureheads of their universes, in the sense of like Toby being the head of the Sonyverse, like, and Hugh Jackman / probably Deadpool being like the
The
Fox.
Foxverse, yeah.
Yeah, then like, okay, I can get down with that. There is not going to be, and at this point, like, for anybody who is listening who doesn't know at this point, I don't know what My Time to Shine Hello has been on, but they have gone off the rails.
They're on the Twitter engagement money. That's what they
Yeah,
want, because now Twitter pays you for engagement if you're verified. So
yeah.
they
So
are.
they're just tweeting craziness
Yep.
out, and they used to be, like, to their credit, they used to be one of the most reliable scoopers, but like, I unfollowed him because I can't, or her. I believe it's
Yeah.
but
Supposedly,
yeah,
I don't know how we would know, but
I don't even care. Who the hell knows? But I unfollowed them. I just,
I don't
but
think I've ever followed them. I just always see their stuff still pop up, and I saw this and I retweeted it too on this account, and I was like, "Look, I love the actors, I love the characters. I don't want this though. I want more of the characters we're supposed to be getting to know in the multiverse saga. I don't want them to like ripcord, in case of an emergency here, and just be like, well, everybody loved Toby and Hugh. Let's get this going,
yeah.
because that's not going to mean as much than if we have, you know, uh, that's supposed to be the next send off, right? Secret Wars is supposed to be the next send off, but it seems like it's going to be a send off for the multiverse people instead. So
And that's
I don't
how
know. I mean,
that's
hopefully,
how I feel. Just in before we kind of tie a bow on this and get into Spider-Man related things. That's how I feel about the idea of bringing back like the OG Avengers. If their like whole thing is just, oh, we're just gonna bring them back because like they're what we know, it's safe, like we know the movie will make near $1 billion, and
it's a
like that,
band-aid. It's a
it's,
band-aid.
yeah,
That's all it is. It won't
yeah,
last.
no, it won't last at all, and it would just, to me it would just feel like pandering and like borderline offensive to be like, you really think after all these years and like this great story you gave us, you're just going to flush it all down the toilet and put these people back out there again, and we're just supposed to show up there, and give our money? It's like, no, dude, we want to see good stories and new stories with new characters. Go all new, all different Marvel. Like, you still had your Avenger, you had your Tony Stark in there, Thor was in there, but you also had your Nova, Sam Alexander, Miles Morales was in there. Like, you can bring back some of those people, because if ultimately at the end of Secret Wars, they're probably, I'd imagine they're not going to go the route of creating all the universes again, like they did with Molecule Man. I think it'll be more, they kind of merge these universes together, sort of thing. So you can bring in, so like there's a Tony Stark from that universe that you want to bring in to sort of be in that Michael Keaton role, like or I should say the Michael Keaton role, what he was supposed to be in Batgirl, of like the older, just sort of kind of the hand on the shoulder member of the group, or you want to do that with like older Cap from a different universe, whatever. But we've got to see new stories, new characters, and interesting stories and interesting characters. So
Yeah.
That's my rant on that, and I'm sticking to it.
The last thing I really just want to highlight here is apparently She-Hulk costs 250. Is that what it was? 250 million?
Yeah, 250. Oh, dude. Oh, God.
25 million for one episode at one point. This is where the budgets have to get in check. Maybe it's COVID related for all this stuff, and hopefully those things get cheaper going forward. The Blade news is that they want to do 100 million or less, which is great because you're gonna need. You can make movies for that.
I think you can, but I just don't see like I'm in the camp of let's just push Blade, like, can it, and come back to it post Secret Wars. I feel like it's just sort of that thing that's there, and I know they're setting up like some Midnight Sun stuff and all that, but I still think you can do that with the people we already have established.
Yeah,
Agatha,
Black Knight,
Wanda, Moon Knight, like Black Knight, like you said. So you could still go that route. I feel like it's just too much. It went into the development during that time when it was Bob Chapek times, when it was just, we need so much. We need Moon Knight. We need She-Hulk. We need Miss Marvel. We need, go down the list. And I feel like they got to not be afraid to pull the plug on something just because they feel like they have to put it out now. I feel like it's not a necessary project. Save the money, put it into the other stuff you already have announced, and let's circle back to Blade post Secret Wars.
Yeah, I'm fine with them continuing Blade. It's just, for me, it's like, if anybody wants to read that Variety article, it looks like it was going a totally different way for some reason. And the whole reason they wanted this movie to be made, it was because Mahershala Ali came to them and said he wanted to be Blade, like, and they almost lost him. So it's like,
that's another thing too. That's why they made the movie. It was because they were in that mode, and they were just like, everybody come to us. Ooh, you're Mahershala Ali. Holy crap, you want to be Blade? All right, that's not in our plans, but let's make it happen anyway. And now they're at the point where they gotta like start tightening up those margins and start chopping stuff. I feel like it's a great candidate to just say, we'll come back to it. Obviously, Mahershala will probably be out at that point, but I think there's other people out there. I also don't want to seem like I'm just kind of sticking my nose up at Mahershala Ali. He's a tremendous actor.
Yeah.
Love him in True Detective Season 3 is like one of my favorite performances ever.
When they kill him in Luke Cage, by the way, it killed the show for me. Like, I was enjoying that first half of the season so much, and then they killed him and brought in, what was the guy, Diamondback? And Diamondback's actor was so over the top. It was a night and day from Mahershala Ali. It was crazy.
Yep.
Fell out of love with that show right away.
I just wanted to clear that one up. Yeah, I love me some Mahershala Ali. It's nothing against him personally. Honestly, I would have left the project already if I was him, just with all the craziness that's been going on. And he deserved to be in the role. Unfortunately, things just kind of are what they are. But apparently they're still going to go forward and make it. So we'll freaking see.
Yeah, Deadpool cost $60 million originally, the first one, so you can do Blade for $100 million or less. And that's what they need to start doing, is start tightening up these budgets. It makes people get more creative. They don't just result on like, oh, we got 200 mil, so just CG this. Like, they're gonna have to do other stuff, and
all those help. VFX artists just like, oh my god, they just exhaled here. It was only 100 million. They're like, oh no, they're gonna She-Hulk us again.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on from this article. We'll talk about the last bit of news here, which is some good news as we pivot to Spider-Man 2. And I'm probably going to split this into 2 episodes now. We're just going to talk Ultimate Spider-Man here, and then I'll split that for Spider-Man 2.
We've been rocking a half hour here. That's crazy. We said we had a lot to talk about.
Ultimate Spider-Man is coming back. Different universe, but Jonathan Hickman on Spider-Man writing this. I immediately have already gone onto my local comic store's website, and I've added this to my pull list. So I am set for when it drops in January. It's going to be there day one for me. And if people don't know, Ultimate Spider-Man is my favorite comic book Spider-Man. I read through it all about 3 years ago. Before that, I mostly read 616, Spider-Man. But I just love the fact that we actually had, like, it was really continuity. There was some chapters that didn't even focus on him as Spider-Man. He's just going through his Peter Parker school stuff, and it would be like part of a 4-issue arc or something, and it felt like an extended period with him, which felt great. And I'm hoping that this is kind of similar, where we kind of get a fresh take on Spider-Man. He's apparently going to be happy. He's going to be married and kids before he even became Spider-Man in this.
Yeah, that's the part that really intrigued me. Like,
Yeah.
this is going to be like Family Man Peter Parker getting these powers. Like, I'm interested to see how he gets them, because I doubt it's going to be in the same sort of traditional way. You know, he's not going to be there on a class trip or anything like that. Like, it's going to be interesting.
Maybe he's working at Oscorp or something.
Yeah,
if they wanted to do something like that. And I wonder, is this going to be, if they open up a whole new Ultimate Universe, are they all going to be kind of older when they get their powers? Or is it just Spider-Man that has this main difference, Because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. It's also like, I wonder if they're gonna try to set up like another Secret Wars-esque comic event like down the line, if they're starting to do more Ultimate stuff again, like maybe try to coincide that with like like an MCU when we get the Secret Wars there. So that would be cool, just as a little big picture thing. But no, I'm stoked for this, dude. The most recent Spider-Man, I think it's Amazing Spider-Man, the one that's just running right now. It's been running for the last few years. I was a little lukewarm on it. Like, I kind of got like 6 or 8 issues in, and it just wasn't really catching me. So I'm excited for this one. I mean, you had me at Hickman, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I picked up Amazing when they renumbered it again with who is it, Bagley drawing at that point, or John Romita Jr. doing it at that point, one of them. I read like the first issue, and then I kind of moved on from them, because again, I'm one of those, I went on a rant when I did Across the Spider-Verse, because I mentioned that I want to see a Peter that's happy. Like, let's stop just resetting him all the time with this stuff. Like, I don't understand why we have to like have this almost masochist type of
It's a brand new day, Jordan. Come on.
Yeah. Wow. Brand new day for the last decade and a half or so. Like, I grew up reading 90s Spider-Man. I have some of them here, and they have focused on, like, he was with MJ, and it was great. Like, it shouldn't need to be this torturous for him all the time.
That's what I think of. I think enough. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there, but like when my first introduction to Spider-Man was Spider-Man the Animated Series, and it's like it's like Peter and MJ, like it's like you don't need to have that to like. He's got to have conflict, but it doesn't have to be just every single time like the worst possible thing, and then grind him down to pick him up and grind. Like, no, I agree completely.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So we'll wrap up this part. If you want to hear us talk Spider-Man 2, it'll be on another episode right after this. But, there you go. That's your spoiler warning there. So now you can't complain if you listen to the Spider-Man 2 one.